Welcome to the Kee To Growth Podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you're in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now.
Key Marketing specializes in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to build your brand awareness or drive leads using social media ads. If you're ready to elevate your social media, go to keyheartmarketing.com or follow us on social media. Welcome back, everyone, to the Kee To Growth Podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and today I am super excited about our guest today. He's the founder of Core Matters, the host of Titans of the Trades podcast, and author of Hire Better, People Faster. I was just telling him that although this podcast started off as a marketing resource, it has quickly become apparent to me how important people and hiring and leadership are in order to make the most out of your marketing. So I am so excited to talk with Ryan Englin today. Did I say your last name right?
You did.
Great. All right, Ryan, if people don't know you, tell them who you are.
Yeah, I'm the CEO and founder of Core Matters, like you'd mentioned, author, podcaster. Most important, I want to make the trades cool again. Like, it seems like the next generation looks at the trades and says, I don't want to be a plumber. I don't want to do that. I want to go do the cool jobs. And so that's really my mission right now, is how do we make the trades cool? And I think a lot of it has to do with, we have a marketing problem that needs to be fixed in the trades, especially when it comes to recruiting and hiring. So,
oh my gosh, I know how to make the trades cool again.
Yeah.
TikTok. Okay, we'll get there. So let's start off with, like, how did you even end up in the trades industry?
So I grew up in a blue collar household. My dad was an owner operator. So I got to see firsthand what it was like to own a contracting business and what it was like to be in the trades and the turnover and the challenges with communication and everything else. And my dad had that same dream. Hey, I'm going to go start a business. I'm going to have lots of free time. I'm going to have more money. I'll be able to vacation. And nah, he was strapped to a cell phone. The old brick phones from the 80s, he had one of those.
Yeah.
And he worked nights and weekends all the time. And I watched that happen, and I said, there's no way I want to go into the family business.
Yeah.
So I went the college route, went to corporate, learned the value of process and systems when it comes to getting people to think and do the way you want, and started a marketing company because I was naive at the time and thought my dad's problem was a marketing issue, which it turned out it was, but I thought he just needed more revenue. Everybody says cash solves a lot of problems. So if you just had more cash, you could solve the people problems. Turned out I was wrong. That was not the case. And a few years after having a marketing company, I started developing the CoreFit hiring system, which is now the CoreFit Blueprint, and just a bunch of systems and models that help people in the trades. Like, that's just where my heart is. I look around and we value the attorney at $1,000 an hour, but we freak out when the plumber says they want $125 to fix whatever. And I'm just like, wait a minute. We got things backwards here. That plumber brings me a lot higher quality of life than my attorney does.
Water, weather, the things that we need, electricity. Okay, so I'm curious because, like you said, and I said from the beginning, this is a marketing podcast because everybody's looking around saying, like, boy, they sure look like they've got it all figured out. What are they doing? So how do you know whether it's a marketing problem or a different problem? Like, do I need more money or do I need to fix my systems? Because those are two very different focuses.
Yeah. Well, as the industry as a whole, and this would be construction, services, commercial, residential, doesn't matter. As an industry as a whole, we have a marketing problem. We spend a lot of time marketing to the consumer, explaining to them that we're on call, we do emergency service, we're doing 24/7, we'll get your job done on time and under budget, and we'll be the low price leader. We spend all of our time promoting that. And we don't take the step back to realize, you know what, those technicians, when they see that message, go, I have no life. I never see my kids. I don't get to do the things that I enjoy. There's no career path for me because I'm so burned out and beat up because this industry. And they just say, I don't want to do this. And I think the next
Yeah.
generation seeing what it did to their older siblings and their parents, and they said, no, I don't want to go to work and have to get yelled at and chewed out by my boss every day because he's having a bad mood because he didn't put the right stuff in place. That's where I think we have a marketing problem as an industry.
So you think that we're marketing the industry poorly in order to attract the customers, but it's repelling who would potentially work for us.
100% yes. Yeah.
So what is the solution?
Well, I think if we flip it and we start marketing to bring people into the industry or to attract people to the industry, we'll be able to do double duty. Not only will it attract the great people that we need, but it'll attract the customer too. I always share that this is about 10 years ago. I heard a radio commercial for an HVAC company, and it was just basically bragging, as we all do, right? It was bragging about how awesome the company was, not because they had the best prices or the best service or the best guarantees, but because they had the best technicians. And how did we know they had the best technicians? Because they were all background checked. They were all trained. They were all taught how to communicate. They all had a checklist that they had to follow when they showed up at your home. They were clean. They had clean uniforms. All it did was brag about how awesome it is to be a technician there. And at the end of the commercial, the call to action was not call us to schedule your AC inspection. It was, if you're looking for a place to call home and you want to work in this kind of environment, call us because we're looking for great people right now. Well, the phone rang off the hook for new booked appointments because that's the technician I want walking into my house.
Yeah.
And
that's so interesting.
I think we missed that. I think because when you say 24/7 on call, emergency, low price leader, what you say is you repel those good people and you basically say you're not going to have a life and just deal with it. Whereas the other one said you still might be emergency on call. You still might have all of that. But it basically said, hey, look what we're going to do to make you a better tech, to make your worth in the marketplace better, how we're going to treat you well, how we're not going to give you the broke down truck or, the old employees' uniforms. We're going to treat you like a human being with respect, and we're going to care and invest in you. And then Susie Homemaker is saying, I want that company to send their technicians to my house.
Yeah. So do you then teach people how to market this?
I teach people how to market on the recruiting side.
So what do you say? I mean, you said that commercial, but what are some of the ways that people can share this and kind of shift their marketing this direction?
Well, above the fold on the homepage is the most valuable part of your website, right?
Yes.
And most of the
time, he means before you scroll.
Yep.
So what you land on first.
Yeah, what you see as soon as you open it. And what do we do with that real estate? We put our promotions, we put our seasonal specials, we put all of that stuff. But what if instead of that, you had happy technicians talking about how amazing it is to work there and an employee testimonial of what it's like to be a part of that company? That's not going to turn away the consumer.
Yeah.
But that would actually attract the person looking for a job. We put all our energy into search engine optimization and now answer engine optimization around our specials and the work we do because we're hoping Google will rank us high when someone says, I need a new water heater. But if you actually said, I need good plumbers, and you focused on that kind of messaging and that kind of search results, consumers are still going to find you.
Yeah.
And so that's one example of it. Another example we talk about is the careers page being the most important page on your website. And we all think it's our specials and everything else that drives us to the bottom and destroys our profitability or repels the good technicians. But you can actually put a lot on the careers page. And I know consumers that'll go to a careers page and go, wow, look at all these employee testimonials. Look at the people talking about how amazing it is to work there. Look at we had one client one time, they got spiffed every time a technician got a review, but they got an extra bump if the review mentioned the technician's name.
Yeah.
And so the careers page is just full of reviews of all these amazing things about all these technicians. And we put all of that on the careers page, and all of a sudden, whether it's a consumer that sees it or a technician that sees it, they go, wow, that looks like an awesome place to work.
It's interesting because that's one of the big things that we try to focus on their social media is sharing the culture of the company. And it's not easy to fake. Do you have these things going on? Are people having fun while they're at work? And it is a little bit companies who do the dancing TikToks. some people laugh at that. Those companies have the most followers and they're getting a ton of attention for it because it looks really fun. So it looks like a fun place to work and it looks like a fun group of people to hire. A lot of our clients get people coming and asking them for jobs. Some of the best, we had a client say they got the best plumber in the area to come and work for them because of their social media presence. So it's a huge opportunity on a daily or consistent basis to share who your team is and what it is that you do. And it attracts not only, like you said, it doesn't only attract customers, but it attracts people that want to work for you as well.
I think one thing that's important that people need to hear, though, when it comes to this type of marketing, make sure, because people will call you out faster than they will on the consumer side, make sure you're not bait and switching these people. Don't put up the dancing TikTok video about your culture and everything else if that's not really your culture.
I think that would be hard to do, though. Like on a consistent basis, if it's really not great, like it's not going to look great. It won't hold up. It'll eventually fizzle out.
I've talked to companies that have actually hired actors to create this stuff and they put them in their uniforms and everything else, and it's not technicians. And you can usually see it because you're like, dang, that is one good looking bunch of people working there.
Yeah.
You can usually tell, but just be careful with it because part of the problem, and this isn't our biggest problem in the trades, part of our problem is attracting good people. But the big problem is the majority of contractors out there have a retention problem. They can hire them, but they can't keep them. And that's a whole different set of problems and solutions for that. So
where is that coming from?
The retention piece?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it is most owners, most leaders in the trades were never taught how to lead.
Right.
And so they do their best. They wing it. They duct tape it and baling wire it, and do the best they can. And incidentally, they end up treating people like garbage. And then pushing them away because they don't know how to lead. They don't know how to create the systems that support growth and support longevity and support healthy. We can talk about mental health, but support that because right now in the trades, we have a mental health crisis because people are tired of being treated a certain way. And they are frankly treated very poorly in a lot of the industry. We're seeing a little bit of a shift away from that now with social media and there being more visibility and more talking about it. But a lot of the reasons that 20-somethings don't want to go into the trade is they saw what it did to their parents and they don't want to be treated like that. They saw dad come home angry because he just got chewed out or cursed out by his boss. And they're like, why would I want to go work for a place like that? And so
what are some ways, like, where can you start with that? Or I think the biggest thing is like, how do you know if that's the problem that you're facing? I like to always start there because like that awareness, like how do you know if you have a leadership problem? And I think there's like a spectrum of that, right? I mean, it's not something you just learn and then all of a sudden you figured it out.
So I think a lot of, especially in the trades, when you're smaller, I see a lot of business owners that were tradesmen themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so when they come and they run a business, they were never taught how to run a business. They're just winging it. They're doing their best. They might have 40 trucks on the road and they're going home stressed out like mad because they're like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know how to fix this. I think a lot of it is no one ever taught them. They didn't get the education on how to do it. And because of that, the culture suffers. People tell me all the time, or people ask me all the time, they say, what's the silver bullet? Like if there's one thing that I can do to improve employee engagement, to keep my people longer, what would it be? And I tell them the same thing. Care about the things that your people care about.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And they're like, oh, that sounds super simple, but it's not easy. Because at the end of the day, you're caring about whether or not you make payroll. You're caring about how to get that extra truck on the road. You're caring about how to deal with the fact that you've got vendors that need to be paid. And you're caring about all of those things. And all they care about is, can I put food on the table? Will be able to see my kid at his baseball game. Will I be able to go to my daughter's dance recital? Will I be able to get home at a decent hour so my wife's not mad at me? We don't care about those things because we think the payroll and the AP and all these other things are bigger things to worry about. But if we worried about the things that our people worry about and we cared about those things and we supported them in those things, the law of reciprocity says they're going to help us care about all the things that we normally carry around as a burden that we care about. We talked about employee testimonials earlier, and we talked about how do you get your employees to do this stuff. I will tell you, if you go ask your employees to record a TikTok video for you and you get no takers, that's a huge red flag that something's not going well.
Right.
So,
yeah. So, okay, how do you recommend to get a pulse on this? So, is there like a check-in cadence or specific questions that you recommend? Or like, how do you start to implement a system like that?
I'll just tell you how we get started when we start working with somebody new is we assess everybody in the organization. We assess the leaders to get them to tell us, hey, this is what we're thinking. We've got 2 different assessments we've created, pretty accurate at telling us what's going on. And then we assess the field staff or the CSRs, all the front line. And then we say, where's the gap? Because there's always a gap. It's not that they're right or that you're right. It's that you're not on the same page. That's what we need to figure out. So when we ask the leaders the questions and we ask the front line the questions and we find out there's this huge gap in a couple of areas, we want to solve those gaps first. It's the same thing I believe about performance evaluations or employee reviews. When you do an employee review, where does the employee think they're at? Where does the manager think they're at? Let's bridge the gap. That's the problem.
Okay.
And so we're always just looking for the gaps in the team. And once we've identified the gaps, then we can start looking for the root cause. Then we can start looking for the solution. Then we can start looking for the system that makes sure we don't fall back into it. But we've got to know what's causing the problem to begin with.
So what I heard or what I took from that is like, if you can have people do a self-assessment and then an assessment on everything else and see where the differences are between what everyone's thinking they're doing and what the company thinks that they should be doing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's when we do reviews, which most people probably listening right now, they're like, oh, I wish I could do reviews more than once a year when it's tied to a raise, right? But if you're doing reviews more often, the way we look at it is build an assessment for the role. So let's say that it's a plumber. You build the assessment for the role and the manager and the plumber take the exact same assessment.
Yeah.
And then you compare the notes and you go, here's where the gaps are. They think they're doing really good in customer service. I don't think they're doing so hot because they can't get a 5-star review.
Yeah.
And we're usually so busy, we forget to tell them that in the moment.
Right.
We wait until pay raise time at the end of the year. And then we're like, it would have been really nice if you would have got your 5-star reviews a month, but you didn't get any.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's information that would have been great 9 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of times we have this saying, no news is good news. I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yeah.
And in the trades, if my boss doesn't tell me I'm doing a bad job, then I must be doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the ways that we can improve communication. And I always look for ways to put in what I call traps, like just little things that you can do on a regular basis that trap you into having the conversation, that trap you into sharing the feedback, that trap you into that stuff. So what are those little traps? And a lot of that depends on the company's culture. It depends on the company's willingness to embrace new technology. So there are some tools out there that can really help with that.
So do you recommend like personality tests?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So are there specifics that you recommend? And then what I'm curious about, it's so funny sometimes in these conversations, I'm like, this is selfishly all for me. But what I'm curious about is how do you know which personality tests make sense? And then what are you even looking for?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know what you're looking for your organization when you're doing like a DISC test? It's like, okay, so great. But like, how do you then tie it back to what you need?
Yeah. A great question. Lots of questions in there, actually. So I'll start at the beginning. So yes, there are a lot of assessments out there. Last count, thousands that you can get. There is one type of assessment that I think when it comes to hiring is absolutely crucial, and that's called an integrity assessment.
Okay.
And so it uses a lot of science that is way above my pay grade. I don't understand, but it looks at the likelihood that this new hire will lie, steal, cause workplace violence, or do drugs and alcohol on the job. It's 90.
That's so crazy.
94%
It's like
accurate.
AI algorithm.
Something, yeah. Well, this thing was built like in the 70s, so it was way before AI, but it figures it out. One of the things that I know it does when it comes to lying is it asks them questions that if you say no, you're lying to. So like, do you ever speed? Or
Yeah.
have you ever sped? And
It's like things that everybody has done at some point in their life.
Yeah. And so if you say no to those types of questions over and over again, they know you're lying.
Right.
And
right.
so that's,
or like lack self-awareness.
yeah. So that's one tool I recommend. Legally, you're only allowed to use it as part of the hiring process. So there's a
Oh,
tool.
so you can't use it when somebody's working for you.
Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want. You just can't decide whether or not they continue to be employed based on that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And so, but there's a tool that we use that helps with recruiting and hiring, and they have the integrity assessments built in. I think it's an amazing tool. And those assessments are awesome.
Cool.
When it comes to the behavioral assessments like DISC or Culture Index or some of these others.
What was that one? The 5, like where it gives you like your top 5 words.
Is that the Clifton Strengths?
Yeah. Strength Finders.
Yep. So Clifton Strengths is a great one. I love it. So I use 3 different ones in my business. Like for me personally, I use 3 different ones, and they all have a different reason that we use them. For example, Clifton Strengths, I use that to assess, is my team applying their strengths in the work that they're doing? Or do we maybe need to shift some things around because maybe employee A has a strength of something that's normally employee B's job? Should we just give it to employee A? And we kind of mix those things around. The other ones that I like to use, ProScan is one that I like to use. It's like DISC. You're going to yell at me if they hear me say that, but it's like DISC. It's behavioral. It's the why. Like, why do we behave the way we do? And I use that one to work on communication gaps. Because the way I communicate and Jen, the way you communicate are different.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I have a report that tells me how you communicate and you have a report that tells you how I communicate, it's not me saying, Jen, you're bad at communicating. It's saying you communicate different than I do. And here's the proof.
Yeah.
And so we use that to do communication. We use that during the hiring process, but also in the team building process. Teach managers how to better communicate with people. And then the third one that I like is Colby. I don't know if you've heard of Colby.
I have, but I can't remember what it is.
It gives you 4 numbers. And that's why I like it, because it's easy for me to walk in and say I'm a 3296 and whereas if I said I'm a high ID, you're like, well, how high are you? Like, where are you at on the disc? But 3296, like, the ratings. And if you know what those 4 numbers are, it's really easy to communicate. And Colby is all about how you work. Mm-hmm. Whereas DISC and all those is why you work the way you do. And then the Strengths Finder is all about where are you applying your strengths and in the work that you have. So those are 3 I like. But the best one for anybody listening right now, the best one is the one your team uses. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care which one
you just need something. Yeah.
I used to care. And then I stopped caring because I'm like, they don't use the one that I like, but they use this one. So let them use that one.
Yeah.
And so the best one is the one that your team adopts, the one your team uses. But it's not just a hiring tool. It's a team building, communication, engagement tool. And you can't just put it in their file after they're hired. You have to pull it out and use it. Yeah. That's when those become really valuable.
Right. I could definitely see that difference. I'm curious about I want to go back to like how if you have an operations problem, a leadership problem, a marketing problem, all of the above, like what is happening, all of the things and none of them. But, or is it like individual problems? Like, is it me or is it you? Like when do you get to the point where
Yeah. I'll give you a couple of examples because this is one of those things where I would say it depends, but I'm going to give you some depends, right? If you are running a business right now and the thing that frustrates you the most is that you can't trust your people. Anybody been there? I don't trust my people.
Yeah.
I tell them to do one thing, they do another. I expect this and I get that. If you can't trust your people, it's because there's a lack of clear expectations on both sides.
Yeah.
I believe that most human beings wake up and want to do a good job at work. I believe that is just an internal drive we have. We wake up and we want to do a good job. The problem comes when the boss's definition of a good job and my definition of a good job don't mix. They don't align.
Which is lack of clear expectations.
There's
So that makes
no
sense.
clear expectations. And so if you're feeling that way, I can't trust my people. It's not because they're bad people and they're stealing from you.
Yeah.
There are exceptions to every rule, but for the majority.
Yeah. Some of them are. There could be.
They're good.
Then you give them the integrity analysis and then
yeah, you file charges and do that whole mess. But
right.
I think if you're struggling with trust, it's usually because they don't know what you expect of them. And the fastest way to solve that is to create clarity in their role. And the way we do that is a very objective, structured job description.
Right.
I'm not talking about Googling Indeed job description for a plumber, because you're going to get 6 bullet points, because that's all Indeed wants you to post online, because that's what's going to get you the most applications. But it's not going to get you the best applicant. Your job description should not only talk about what it is to be a great culture fit, what your responsibilities are, how we measure your success in the role, metrics, scorecards, what kind of activities we expect you to do, what are your qualifications to do the role. Like, it should have all of these things in there, not the thing that gets posted online, but an internal document that says, let's get on the same page. I'll be honest, it takes some work to do these, because you can't just Google it. You cannot go to AI and say, can you write for me a good job description with the things Ryan just said? And here's why. I asked AI this. AI's been trained on 10 million ways to how to not write a job description, to not write one of these. So when you say write a job description, it goes, oh, I've got 10 million examples.
Right.
All garbage, which is why we have this problem.
Yeah.
So that's one example. That is an operational issue, and the symptom being a lack of trust between leadership and the team. Another one that I see a lot is that people don't get along well. Right? You've got people on team. You've got, marketing and sales. It's their fault, right?
Yeah.
When we see this problem, that's the symptom. The root cause is no one understands the why. Why did marketing make that decision? Why did sales make that decision? Why did this technician make that decision? Why didn't the technician do it my way? Usually it's because they didn't understand why. And I would say in the trades, we're notorious for not explaining the why. We'll give them the how. We'll teach them how to do their work, but we won't explain to them why we do it that way. And so if we see a lot of people either having this internal conflict or not doing the work the way we want, they don't understand why we want it done that way. And that is a whole take a step back and say, hey, why do we even do this business? Why do we even care about the customer? Why do we even want to grow the team this way or that way? So if you're not really clear on what I call your purpose, and you don't understand the purpose behind a process or a document or a system that you use, if you don't know why you use that system, that's a problem. So there's just a couple of examples. Usually the symptom, the thing that's keeping us up at night, the thing that we're really frustrated with is not the problem.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's so good. I love that, actually. Some good visuals there, and ways to really self-assess what you can do next. I have so many questions, but I do want to come back just to hiring, because I know that's where everybody's struggling, right? I was just on a call with one of my clients who's an electrician, and she's like, there are not enough electricians out there. So how do we find the best electricians to come and work for us? So if a contractor needs to hire, where do they start?
Well, this isn't going to be the popular answer, so I apologize. But you are 100% right. There are not enough electricians.
Yeah.
And the amount of money that these data centers are throwing at electricians right now, if you're in the service world, forget it. You're not getting good electricians.
Yeah.
So here's the answer, and it's not going to get solved today. Good electricians are out there, but they are not looking for jobs.
Right. They already have a job.
And they're happy, or they're paid extremely well.
Right.
So you have two choices for the seasoned tech. Because nobody's ever called me and says, Ryan, I want to hire a bunch of rookies.
I mean, okay, but look at the Spurs. Their rookies are doing really great. So you can find some good people.
Oh, that's the root. That's the fix. That's the real fix. Is you build an apprenticeship program and you go find the best people with the right behaviors, the mindset, the mechanical aptitude, and you teach them how to do the work. That's the real answer.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that when you were asked that question, that's not the answer they wanted.
Well, I don't think that they're set up for that today.
And nobody is. And that's one of the real problems. See, the unions used to do that work. And we got into the business.
We're not talking about unions.
What?
I said we're not talking about unions.
We're not talking about unions. The unions used to do that work. And now the private sector on these open shops taking over, and they said, well, we need more people, but nobody's doing the apprenticeship programs anymore.
Yeah.
They're just not there. Although I just saw this yesterday, NCCER announced that Meta, parent company of Facebook, put $115 million into a electrician's training program.
Wow. It's because we need electricians for AI and data centers.
Oh, no, this is totally a selfish pay on their part. But
yeah.
But that's a huge announcement, because now you have the private sector, not even contractors, saying we have to help fix this problem. Google put money towards the problem. Meta's putting money towards the problem. So they're finally starting to wake up and say, wait a minute, we have the money. We need to start training this next generation. But if you want to get that seasoned tech, the guy that's got 5 years experience, that's happy where he's at, that's paid well, you have to understand one principle. And that's that people don't leave jobs. They leave bosses.
Right.
So if you want to attract great people, you have to become the boss, the company, the leadership team that attracts great people. And if you're not attracting great people, you need to take a step back and say, what do I need to do to become more attractive? And the answer is never money. It's never pay more money.
Okay.
So if you want to get that seasoned tech, you have to become the company that seasoned tech wants to work for. And that takes work too. So you get to pick, do you put the work into becoming that company that seasoned tech wants, or do you put the work into building the apprenticeship program and training the rookies? We had a plumbing company we worked with once, and their solution was they didn't want to build a full-blown plumbing apprenticeship program. So what they did was they built a drains program. It was a 6-week program, and you could put the guy in the truck to go do drains all day long.
Mm-hmm. Does he have a drain company now? Because I did talk to somebody that does this.
I don't know if they have a drain company now, but that's what they did. And then they used the drain guys they taught him how to identify other issues so that they could sell it to the more seasoned techs. But what it did was it allowed them to wash.
Ooh, that's so smart.
Yeah. It allowed them to wash out the guys that weren't in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And then the guys that were left, now they could invest in those guys knowing they were going to stick around. It's just an easy example.
I mean, in the last 30 minutes, we've literally talked about how we talked a little bit about marketing, but about how to use marketing to get better recruits. But I think that there's just so much in there, which I'm sure you have so many tools to help people with this. But thinking about then how you show up as a leader, how you create systems so that your team has clarity, and how you become a place that people want to work at. And even touching on like creating a training program, which I love, because I think it's also I love that I brought up the Spurs and what your response was to that, because first of all, the Spurs are in the finals, and by the time that this posts, like, it'll be over, and who knows like what'll actually have happened. But what's so great about that team is that they've always been a team that builds rather than buys, and that's really what you're talking about, is that building a great team from the ground up with people who don't really have the experience but maybe have the right mindset. It's an investment up front. It's an investment then, but it could lead to having a really great operations later.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've come to the end of the podcast. You are on the Kee To Growth podcast. So we ask all of our guests the same question, which is, what is the key to growth?
I already said it earlier. If we look at growth from my perspective, which is people, you have to care about the things your people care about. Your people will help you grow so much faster and take you so much further when you focus on what they care about and their needs than if you focus on more ads or more consumer marketing or anything like that.
Awesome. Okay, so if people want to reach you or get a hold of some of these resources, like, where could they go? How could they learn more about you?
Yeah, so corematters.com is where you can learn all about the work that we do around the coaching and consulting to help companies actually do this work. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to ryanenglin.com. We have a lot of other podcasts I've been on, shows I've been on, and just a whole bunch of resources there. And then finally, the easiest way to connect with me would be on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This has been really awesome.
Thank you.